Hello everyone. So recently, I think day before yesterday, today is what, 24th? I think on 22nd of June, Atlassian announced on the community that projects will be renamed to spaces. And I'm really unhappy, by the way, because I I think there is no point or there is no logic behind this, but I think there is something bigger. Now, let us talk about projects in Jira. Now, projects in Jira, uh, or I should say, let us start with project. Now, a project, what is a project? If you ask someone, like, let us not worry about Jira for a minute. What is a project? Now, project is basically an activity that you need to perform within a time frame, and there is a very clear goal. And based on that, you estimate how much money, resources you need, right? And and of course, you do things to make it happen. Now, a project could be building a bridge on River Thames. That could be a very simple project. I mean, not a simple project, but it could be a project, right? That you have to make a bridge to cross River Thames, and when you have this goal defined, then you of course start working towards it. You then gather your resources, and then you make a plan, and then you do it, right? So I'm just giving you a very simple, very simple explanation of what a project is, and that is also true in a lot of other fields. In IT, when we talk about projects, and now let us shift our focus back to Jira. And by the way, cheers. If we shift our focus back to Jira, in Jira, there is no concept of project goal, right? There is no concept of project start date. There is no concept of project end date. And projects in Jira have always been container of issues. And I remember when I used to work, like long back, 15 years ago, when I used to work with my clients, when no one knew about Jira, I used to tell them, this project is a container. And I use the word, I have always been using this word container. But in a way, if you think about it, uh, even if your project has no end date, or even if it has an end date, you can still use the project concept in Jira. In majority of cases, the name project itself makes sense. And you can and you should be calling it as a project, right? That, for example, if you're working in any company where they have, let us say, a project which is like, for sure that this project will end in 6 months or 1 year, right? So you can create a Jira project for it. Yes, we don't really have at project level fields like start date or end date, but you can still use a Jira project, and you can use it. You can work on it. And when you're done, in Jira, there is no concept of like a project closure. Once you're done with it, you can just make it read only using permission schemes. So that is what you can do, so that you're not basically allowing any further updates. That is one way of doing it. The other way is to use maybe an epic, right? If you're using an epic, then your epics will stay within the same active project, right? Where you have one epic that can last few sprints. You can probably use something like initiative on top of an epic. That can be a project, or you can just create your issue type called as project. That can also be done. But what I'm saying is that the other option is to use just your regular issue types in Jira. So that is one more option, right? What else you can do? You can always, just think about a project which is ongoing. For example, business as usual, and that happens a lot. BAU activities. So if you have BAU activities, then project is not technically a project. It is a container, but that still makes sense, because when you have a project in Jira, you know that, okay, we have this project which is ongoing, and you have a project in Jira. Now imagine going back to this renaming. Now Atlassian is now renaming projects to spaces. And it won't make sense. It will basically make everyone confused. And I am sure Atlassian has some plans, because I think what will happen, I might be wrong, but I think what will happen is, uh, I'm just being harsh on Atlassian, by the way. I think what will happen, Atlassian will try to Atlassian will try to sell multiple products. Okay, you want to do project management, collaboration with your team. Okay, buy Jira, and if you're buying Jira, then you have to buy Confluence, because without Confluence you can't collaborate. So I think Atlassian will try to sell both Jira and Confluence together as a package. Maybe they will combine it together, right? Um, and if you think about this, like, projects are now called spaces, and I think spaces will now. I mean, there is no official announcement, but I think spaces will just become like a wiki kind of a thing, right? Which is anyways the case if you look in the URL on Jira Cloud. And there are other products from Atlassian. You can of course buy those products as an add-on, but I think Atlassian will try to sell all of this together. Maybe they will sell like a package or like a bundle of different products. And I think if you stop calling projects as projects, then it will confuse a lot of people. And I think it is not fair. I know Atlassian is trying to be consistent and blah, blah, blah. They want to make sure that Jira work item is like a generic term that can be used by everyone. But what about those people who have been using Jira for so long, right? People will get confused. And I understand, issue type, work type, work item. I understand, why they're doing it. Maybe they want to have this tool that can be used by anyone, like literally anyone. You want to plan your wedding, use Jira. I mean, you should not be, by the way, but I think that is what Atlassian is trying to do. They want to make a SaaS-based tool that can be used for any use case, which I understand, because they want to make money and they are a company and they want to be profitable. But I think they were okay even with using nothing but issue types and projects. My main problem is that it will confuse a lot of people, a lot of existing users of both Jira and Confluence, because now we have to convince everyone. I know this change will happen in the next few months, but it's a big change. And I'm not massively happy about it. And I don't really think it makes sense. So I thought I'll probably, share and give you my thoughts. And to be honest, we as Jira consultants, Jira admins will survive. I don't really think anything will happen to our businesses or jobs. It's basically hassle. I'm actually more worried about how will I explain my users that no, space is space, but project is also space, and this space is different from that space. It will be a difficult thing to explain. And nowadays, we all work remotely, right? And although, and by the way, I prefer working remotely, but it is difficult to explain to someone something on Zoom or Team or Google Meet, because you have to give a lot of background, you have to share your screen, you have to then give examples, and then you need to give them background that no, till July or June it was issue type or issues, now it is work item, and they did this change because they wanted to generalize it, and now we have spaces, which is not really a space but a project, but which is not a project but it is a container. So it's too much confusion. And I know Jira was always, to be honest, also Confluence, it was always a tool for technical people, but there is nothing wrong with it, right? We don't really need to be ashamed about Jira is for technical people. I mean, that is actually true. And Jira was actually used. We were always able to use Jira or convince a non-technical team to use Jira when it was called as Jira Software or just Jira Core. So I know Jira itself is like the interface itself, it is not simple. There is so much happening, and I know about non-technical teams because I work with a lot of non-technical teams. I don't really see any difference. I still have to spend like same amount of time and effort to explain them what is Jira, the concepts of Jira. So there is always some training involved. You cannot really expect to give someone a link and they click on the link and they are up and running with their task management or work management or whatever you want to call it. You always have to explain to them.